Hey guys, today we got some fuel system issues to solve, and I'm about ready to be done messing with the fuel system on this car. I want to button it up. I want to call it good by the end of this today. Let's just dive right in and see what we're dealing with. Okay. Here's my tank. When we left off last time, I cut this hole here because I'm going to leave 2 filler necks on here. Actually put 2 filler necks. And I don't know if I explained it well last time, but I searched all over trying to find a hose that I could come up, make a turn, and plug into my, here we are, my gas cap filler part of the tube. And I just couldn't find anything that I could get from that size to that size, and that would turn this corner quickly enough that I didn't have to come way up, because I only have about this much room in the car. It can only be about that much higher for it to come out. I couldn't find a piece even of this that I could just do a direct replacement with a 45 with the right sizes. It was just a nightmare. And I finally, literally getting ready to go to bed one night thinking about it, go, just put another one on there that works, because I can find these all day long. I did on the internet. Got it. It's actually just the perfect geometry for me. So that's why we have 2. And this one's just going to get screwed on there. Never messed with. It's covered. Nobody will see it. There you go. Okay. Second issue I got going on here. This is, I picked this up off eBay. Fairly inexpensive. They're really nice tanks. But here's the gripe with them. Everything's on top. Okay. I've got my return line, which I got a plug on. This is my pickup line. And then I got a vent. And if you look down there, it's got a little ball, little check valve on the vent. But my out here, the pickup, the gripe with these tanks, especially the cheap ones, is, and I can probably come around here and see, if you look down in there, move my light around, you can see the pickup tube, okay? Now, look at, speaking of, while I'm in here, look at this. Can you see that junk down there? That didn't happen when I cut it. That was like old fuzzy junk that was in there. So I'm glad I cut a hole in there. I'll be able to clean that all out. But the gripe with these tanks, from what I found, one, look in that hole right there. See how closed off that is and restricted from when they welded it on there? That's one. The second one is, you try to clean that up, or sometimes it just happens, that pickup tube breaks off and falls off. And you are as screwed if that happens, because you got nothing. It's at the top. So you guys might think I'm crazy, but here's what I want to do with this tank. I got this bulkhead fitting. I want to drill a hole through the bottom of the tank and plug that bulkhead fitting in there. What that's going to do for me is it's going to resolve any issue with the cheap pickup on that tube, on that tank. And the second one is, if you remember looking in the car here, where the tank is going to sit and then my fuel pump is, and there'll be a filter right before it, it just makes one nice, clean, straight shot. Comes out the bottom of the tank in there, and then I just do a nice, easy plumb job. So I got this perfect good tank. I'm already chopping holes in it. I'm gonna cut another hole. Drill a big hole for that bulkhead fitting. The challenge, and this ought to be a circus, is trying to get this nut and this washer on top of the bulkhead fitting from the inside of the tank down there. I think I'm up for that challenge. Let's dig in, see what we can get done. Okay, so I made a hole in the bottom of the gas tank. I deburred it on the inside so it's nice and smooth in there, and on the outside so that it's nice and smooth, and I'll get a good seal out of my Teflon washers here. I plan on putting a big washer underneath my Teflon to do everything I can to get a nice even press and seal on it up through the bottom of the tank. And then I plan on using some of this stuff on here. This is gas resistant. It's a non-hardening sealer stuff, and I'll put some down around there and let it ooze out and hopefully not leak any gas, because that'd be a nightmare if it leaks. Other thing, picture, this is the bottom of the tank, okay? When that's shoved through there, well, there'll be about there, but I'm giving up that much gas in the bottom. Now granted, I don't want it being a bottom sucker here pulling any junk down in, but I don't need it to be that far up. So I'm going to come here on this fitting. I already checked it. It only grabs on these bottom threads here anyway. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut this fitting off right below those top threads. That way I'm not giving up. That's probably a gallon of gas, you know, for the whole size of this thing between there and there on my pickup. So I'm going to knock that off of there, get this thing ready, and try to devise myself a plan to come through this hole on the top and put that nut and Teflon washer on there. So almost ready for the rodeo to begin. Okay guys, here's what I'm working with. This is coming up through the bottom. I got to get this guy on it. You can see down the hole down there. On it like that. And then this nut on top. Now, I can get this nut in position with this magnet. That's no problem. My challenge is getting this Teflon washer in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dope this thing up with my sealant. Prep it to go through the bottom. I'm going to drop this guy in there and I'm going to line it up the best I can, and then I'll probably use my magnet here to hold it in position while I shove this guy up through the bottom and get it to slide into this. And then I got to come in and I got to one hand this nut down in there and get it lined up and get it started. So what I can't do in this process is hold the camera and do all that. So I'm going to put you on the tripod, cue the clown music. Here we go. Here we go. Ha ha! Success. Okay. Check it out down there. It's on. What I did not do was I did not figure out what size of socket it takes to go over that big nut so that I can put a socket in here and crank it down. But I'll figure that out real quick and then we'll come back. Well, that stunt seemed to work out. I'm actually pretty pleased with that. I think it's down in there pretty good. It's tight. I think it'll seal well with the gas. Next thing I got to do is take my cap, go to the back of the car, mount it, mark my holes, drill the little holes, mount it in there so that I have the stub sticking out on the back. So then I can set the tank in, figure out exactly where my filler neck needs to be clocked to line up, mark these holes, drill them, take it off, clean out the tank, vacuum out all that junk that's down in there, and then mount that neck on there securely, and then the tank goes in the car for good. So I'm going to start doing that, and we'll be back here in a little bit. Okay, got the filler neck mounted in the body of the car. Now I just need to come in and mount my neck on the gas tank, which I'll do like that. Clock at the appropriate orientation, drill the holes. One question came up. This one was from Dave Scott of Scott Rods. If you're not following him, go check out his channel and give him a follow. Good stuff. Good stuff. He's building an old Chevy coupe and he's doing a good job. If you look down in here, he had asked about the flapper that I installed in here and said this is really the secret to this whole thing. You put this, it's a one-way check valve, so that when you fill up with gas can come in, not go out. And he was concerned about how much pressure it takes to blow that thing open, thinking that it would make gas come back out on me before it flowed into there. I guess if the gas pump could stick in there far enough, it could hit it open, but the reality is it doesn't take a lot to open it. Like I can just blow on it. I can just blow on it and get that thing to open. But I've been told I have pretty strong breath before. Okay, with this little kit that I got, you can see I've got the ring that goes on the inside, my gasket, and then the top piece, which if you can see here, I marked 3 of the holes just to get my orientation set. I didn't quite get it dead center on there, but that's okay because this ring matches. And if I put it dead center on there, see I'm a little off center, so as long as my orientation stays the same, I can scoot it over some. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hold it down real good. And I'm going to come around and mark all these holes. Come on now, nice and easy. There we go. Okay. My holes are marked. Now I'll come in, center punch those, drill them out, clean out the tank, and then we'll be ready to mount that. Now you guys that have been watching me drill these holes in the gas tank, and that if you were paying attention earlier when I showed all that fuzz and junk that was in there when I bought it from the factory, you might be wondering how I'm going to get it all out of there. Well, introducing the Vacuum Cleaner Reducer 9000. All you got to do, shove a piece of square tube or other shape of tube into your shop vac, use about a half roll of black tape, and it works like a champ. So I'm going to take everything, shake it down into the corner of this tank, suck it out of there, and see if I can get this thing clean. There's your one-man small garage. Tech tip of the day to get things out of tight places with your vacuum cleaner. And if you're concerned about scratching the inside or need flexibility, use a piece of rubber hose. Works the same. There you go. Okay, so I've got to do another magic trick here. Somehow I have to get these components. Let's see here, maybe you can see it. I've got to get these components. This ring goes on the inside and mounts here, then the gas tank. This goes on top of the gas tank, then on top of that. The trick is I got to get some sealant. Make sure you get the right kind, gas and oil resistant. I got to get this stuck in there and balanced, and I got to get the gasket sealed and that all in there, the right orientation, everything. So it's going to be kind of a circus. I did clean this up. I scuffed it up actually with a little 120 grit, just because I'm concerned about it sealing, and I'm more concerned about it sealing than I am about making it look prettier on there. I tried not to stuff it up too much, but that should be a good seal. Same thing I did with the bottom of the filler neck. So it should be ready to go as well. I deburred the inside, so I shouldn't have any big burrs sticking down, causing me drama. But let's see what we can do. You can see how this thing works here. It's got little O-rings right here on the screw. This ring's threaded. And then the gasket sealer, like I said. So, let's see here. I'm going to need a couple of these screws and a little bit of luck. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, boys and girls, check it out. There it is. As final as that's gonna be as far as times in and out of the car. Done installing the fuel tank. I got to put a couple bolts in my mount to tie it down. And an astute viewer might note I don't have a clamp on here because I ran out of them. But I'm going to throw a clamp on that, put my 2 bolts in each end, and this guy's tied down. Works really well. There it is. My pickup drops right out the bottom that side. I'll show in the next one how that ties into my fuel filter, fuel pump, and so on. And before I dropped it in there, I even had the wherewithal to come in here, weld a lug to my frame so I could run my ground strap to my battery. So that's it. We're going to call that fuel tank install complete after I don't know how many efforts, but we're done with it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Love to hear your feedback. Love to see you subscribe to the channel. Man, we're doing great. Let's keep building this community. I'll see you next time.